Hi, YouTube. Welcome to the Game of Life. In this video I'm going to explain the difference between the levels of the game, and I will refer to these levels as level 3, level 4, level 5 and higher. So we are all occupying the same reality, and it is an arena. It's a multiplayer arena, so we are all co-creating inside of this arena. And who we essentially are is consciousness. On top of that consciousness, we are individualized bodies that we refer to as humanity or human beings. And as these individual bodies, we are using a different operating system, or we are using different editions of the same operating system, which is your human experiencer. So this operating system, according to the level of our chakras, where the consciousness is primarily situated when we are interfacing with reality, we are on a different level of experiencing in that operating system. So level 3, level 4, level 5 and higher. Now what does this mean? It simply means that we need to go through life, experience different situations that will activate our next level, and so we stay in the game in the same playing field, but we activate the next level of that operating system, and so our consciousness is now interfacing with a little bit different mode. And basically in between level 3 and level 5 we are going from a polarized identification with the world, which I will explain in a moment, to a trinitized perspective of the world. Now what does that mean? We have a binary system within our intellect. This is left or right or wrong, and we may certainly interface with the world and other beings through the paradigm of I am right and you are wrong. If we shift the perspective from our first person immersion and we assume an objective perspective, then we are able to see that right and left is relative. In the same way, wrong and right is relative to the observer. Simply by this experiment of you sitting across me, I can see that what is left for me and right for me to somebody observing from the other side will be flipped. So including both perspectives brings me to a more objective perspective, and we call this inclusion or synergy. If we are insisting on our own perspective and we are not able to include the perspective of the other, we call this binary opposites or polarization. If we want to hold on to the perspective of what I know is right and what you say is wrong, then whatever we add on to the game from that polarized perspective will create more polarizations. So we can be debating in an inclusive way, or we might be debating in an exclusive way. The exclusive way excludes other points of view, other perspectives, as valid and sticks to one. So why is universe at large doing this, unifying and polarizing? Basically, when the universe expands into so many complex objects and beings, universe uses the separation, the polarization, to create many diverse appearances, and this polarization serves us to be individualized beings, so we can come and unify in, let's say, a conversation or other act of play, and then we can also depart and be an individual. This is in the world of objects, because as consciousness we are all always one. So in the world of objective phenomena, the force of polarization allows multiples of something to appear, and then further differentiation of these multiples. The force of unification feels more like love, because it is, when it is acting, we are going back to unification, going back to oneness. So we created some different perspectives, and then we are learning from one another, and we are bringing them to maturation through wisdom, to oneness, because we are allowing all of these perspectives to exist at the same time. Now, on a third level of experiencing the game of life, we are simply playing out these polar opposites, and this is called karma, because they are already in play, and in a way they are playing us. Me versus you, me versus them, me against the world. They are doing this to us. Something's wrong with you, you have a problem. These are all projections of somebody who is identified with their own perspective and their own personal aggregate of story or emotions from that singular perspective, from that individualized perspective. And as we go to level 5, we might change the operating system mode to, instead of the one who is being identified with this first person experience, we are identifying with the consciousness that is observing the play of opposites. So the difference between the level 3, which is karmic, and the level 5, which is liberated from this karmic, and I will explain how this works in a moment. At the level 3, I'm assuming a role of a warrior within the world, and the world is battling my perspective with the different perspectives. And then I might become the victim of the world, or the world might become the tyrant. It's the same with other beings. Other beings can be engaged in some kind of friction with me, because the integration has not yet been allowed, and therefore we might be two warriors engaging in a battle, whether that be a UFC cage or a political debate. It's always black and white, it's always binaries. And then there is another kind of warriorship. It's play fighting, where we are not identifying with someone actually being right or wrong, so we're just doing it for the sport. We're just doing it as a sparring, we're just doing it as a debate, where we are able to actually learn from the other side. So as we are sporting, as we're play fighting, we're actually just using that to evolve our skills, but we are able to allow that opposition to stand together with our perspective, and we are the observer that is allowing the opposites to play, dance together, and equalize. So in a third density, we don't know that we are, or in a third level of the game, we're not really even having the awareness or that mindfulness that we are just jumping into the black or white. And we might jump into somebody else's problem and just play the angel or demon. Or we might just jump into the world stage and we might jump into a war for our country or against the others. And that happens sort of automatically. There is a pull, we're being pulled in, so this is why we call it karma. We're being pulled into these roles, and it's almost like we don't have an actual choice, because our mind will respond quickly in these ping-pong binary oppositions. Our emotions will make it seem real, and all of a sudden we're going at it. And really we're always trying to power play into our side, becoming the winner of that conflict. And in level 5, there is no winner or loser. We're an equanimous observer that is allowing both sides to exist in acceptance. And this will very fast neutralize the conflict and create a dance out of it, and that dance will be a dance that brings evolution and inspiration. So there will still be opposing views, but they will be actually taken as a whole. And so we can take things as a whole only when we learn to take nothing personally and really become that neutral observer. And this is really enlightenment, because in the world there is these two forces in the appearance of the world. These are called the gender polarities, or yin and yang. It's the masculine and the feminine, the light and the dark, and they're always doing the dance. If we step into the observation from one of these, then I'm good and you are bad, or I am black and you are white, or something. And then I can take the other side. This is karma, because I will need to shift my perspective to include the other one. So as I'm identifying with either or, then I will have karma play out to put me in the shoes of the other, so I can unify the whole perspective. And if I'm observing from consciousness that is beyond the yin and yang, then I always have the trinitized perspective. I always see the play of black and white, and I am the observer of that play, so I don't have to identify with either or, and I don't have to jump in and make one right and the other wrong. And this is how the pure self, or the consciousness, is holding all perspectives at the same time, and it is able to bring harmony to the world of karma. So I haven't mentioned the level 4. In the level 4, we are actually practicing to let go of identifications and holding on to emotions and thoughts as if that was really us, and we're trying to survive through that story. We're trying to survive through that polarized engagement, or we're trying to win, we're trying to dominate. In level 4, we are really learning that the story and the immersion in the polarized type of playouts is offered, and that we have a remote control where we can notice that there is a binary play happening, and we can press pause and we can go back into the observer self and allow the conflicts to neutralize. And then we can go and enter that play for a little bit of experimentation or fun, and we may be also in the arena where there is, well, let's say how the Kung Fu Grandpa is always able to throw all of these opponents that are going to attack him because they are taking it personally, and Grandpa is already dancing with the Tao, so he's not actually entering the conflict. He's just doing a little bit of deflection, following what is inherent in the nature or the Tao, and that is that energy wants to equalize, synergize, and harmonize. So whoever is coming from that observer mode has an upper hand. Whoever is on the level 5, they have an upper hand that somebody who wants to attack them from a level 3, where they want to prove from that first person perspective that they are a better fighter or they want to defeat somebody else. Somebody who is on a level 3 cannot defeat somebody who is on the level 5, because it's just the architecture is designed in this way. When you are staying in a space of non-confrontation, people need to come up higher and harmonize with the architecture of experience that you are holding. And this is the conflict resolution. When we are first person experiencing a conflict or a polarization, we go into that observer mode and we allow it to dissolve or harmonize. This is level 4, purging the binaries. So in the level 3, we are completely trapped by the appearance of reality and the appearance of opposites. As long as we identified with either or, left or right or wrong, we are going to perpetuate the karmic wheel, because that karma is going to put us in the shoes of the other so we can unify both perspectives. In the level 4, we are basically letting go of all of these binary oppositions. When we arrive and practicing to be the observer self, when we arrive to level 5, there is no more pull. We are free. We are going about as the observer, and both yin and yang are just animating things, and we can be finally the enjoyer. We don't see then right or wrong in the world. We don't see self and the other. We only see life with perfect acceptance as self. So there's no duality left anymore. And if there is even duality in the world of phenomena, like there is you, your body, there is me, my body, language can make this, that is a banana tree and I am this body. Well, this language and that banana tree and me as this body, it exists again in the world of experience, the world of phenomena, but all of that resides within the consciousness. And all of these appearances and the story of the banana tree and me as this body, all of these are still appearances that exist in the field of awareness. So nothing in the field of awareness is actually separate from that awareness, and nothing in the field of awareness, even the story of you and me as potential enemies, all of that is awareness, just being crystallized as a story of not self. So it's sort of an illusion. And I can also say that on level 3, we are really immersed in the world of phenomena and in the world of objects, and we are just discerning or practicing to discern objects from one another. And therefore, I am this and you are that, I am one and you are the other. And once we understand that this is just a surface appearance of reality, we don't need to build our identity out of that discernment between the objects. So I already know that this is a thing and this is another thing, and these things will not be able to merge physically if I try to do that, right? So this is like 3D. But all these two objects, they exist in the screen of the awareness, which is one with the awareness itself. So that's level 5. You know what the objects are, and there is no need to see the function of an object or the function of a individual perspective in conflict or in contrast with other objects and other perspectives. This is where we are going as a collective humanity. That's it. See you there.